I'm Red Beard the Hippy here with Dan Sindel, doing an online interview from Nebraska to LA.
Hey,
Uh, so
hello,
we'll just start.
hello.
We'll just start off with this cool little. What gave you the idea to do the little joke video that you did 2 weeks? You put out 2 weeks ago and has like 21,000 views on YouTube right now.
Yeah, well, first of all, hello, Redbird, and hello, Nebraska, and hello, planet Earth. Happy holidays. It's good to be here. Hey, we're just a couple of days shy of Christmas Eve, and then we get New Year's, and hey, time to print out a new calendar. Look out, boys. Look
Oh
out,
yeah.
girls. Hey, yeah, so what you're asking me, I only laugh because in my musical career, for what it's worth, this is probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. Not embarrassed by it, but it's clearly like the most non-serious thing I ever put out in the professional realm. I did a semi-holiday spoof of the Christmas song Deck the Halls. I had, like I was telling you earlier, I had a chance a long time ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, to submit a few songs to the TV show Duck Dynasty. You know, they have the duck calls and all that quack quack stuff. So we turned Deck the Halls into Duck the Halls. And, you know, the song is pretty traditional in a sense, but we threw in some duck calls. I had my friend Terry come over and she put on a kind of a southern accent. Hi, how y'all doing? You know, like Beverly Hillbillies or something.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of a goof, but it sat on my hard drive for 15 years. I completely forgot about that I ever did it. You know, they never picked it up for the show. One can only surmise why. But
I'm sure they did a Christmas special at some point in time.
well, it wasn't up to professional standards. It was really only in the demo land. If people out there don't know what that really means, there's a difference between what is called a demo and something you really hear on the radio, which is a full production. A demo is like taking a napkin and a pencil and drawing a stick figure versus, you know, a real painting that you spend time on. So you get my drift. But
Oh yeah.
a few weeks ago, one of my friends who has a radio show asked if I had Christmas music, and I said, "Nah, I don't." But then I woke up the next morning. Wait a minute! Oh shoot! I still have that stupid stuff we did a long time ago. So I found it on an old hard drive. I pulled it up onto my studio, and I just laughed. I just thought, God, this sucks. But it was kind of funny. So what I did was I went and re-recorded the guitars just to make it better, bring it back to life a little bit. So I did about 5-10 hours of editing, hired a professional mix engineer and a real mastering engineer, and brought it to life. Put it up on the YouTube, put it on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, the whole shebang. And, you know, now it's got over 20 some odd thousand hits on the YouTube video, which just makes me laugh. Because, well, this is funny. The whole thing started as kind of a non-traditional means to an end. I don't know if you ever saw this. This is an old episode. It must be 10, 15 years old. But did you see the South Park where they did a South Park kids' Christmas pageant at school, but all the parents were fighting about religion and
Oh yeah.
yeah, so they did this non-denominational Christmas show where they had no Santa Clauses, no reindeers, and they're just on stage spinning around in their street clothes. And
That's probably one of the goofiest episodes.
yeah, but I think the point was well taken.
Well, some people got the humor in it, some people don't.
Well, that goes with anything. But, you know, the intrinsic humor was there, how people fight over religious ideas, and I celebrate this, and I don't celebrate that, and next thing you know, you have an argument, you have a fight, and yeah, that's a worldwide thing. That's why even wars happen, the divides between beliefs. You know, it's bigger than just a cartoon, per se. But for me, I kind of thought in the same realm, like, I I don't know. Maybe I'll just do a visual presentation that has nothing to do with the holidays at all. I'm an animator and I draw really goofy characters. It's just kind of a fun hobby.
Oh yeah.
So I just kind of went into my grab bag of about a dozen really stupid characters that I drew a long time ago. I had them in my computer and I animated them just doing really, dumb things. So it really has nothing to do with the holiday spirit so much. But hey, I believe in it. I'm not anti anything. I just kind of rebel a little bit about how the true reason of the holiday season is lost in commercialism. What does the birth of Jesus have to do with buying paper towels or a milkshake at McDonald's or a gift card or going to Starbucks or all that bullshit? Commercialism is just, I don't know, man.
Maybe Jesus wants you to buy your kid a new bicycle.
Yeah, but he didn't want Toys R Us to close. Come on. Or did he?
Who knows? Yeah, I know. It's kind of an interesting take, especially with how the economy is right now with stuff. And Christmas is going to be an interesting holiday for some people this year.
Yeah, well, it was never meant to be about products, commercialism, gift cards. So, needless to say. So, hey, anyways, if you're in earshot of this, hopefully Redbeard puts up the links and you could witness the car crash of a animated video that I put up on YouTube if you want.
Yeah, we'll throw it on the link or in the descriptions and all that stuff. Put your YouTube channel and all that.
And by the way, just for all you guys who celebrate, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. What else do we got? Happy holidays.
That seems to pretty well be the one right there.
Ho, ho, ho. Hey, no one wants to be the ho in Idaho. Wait, what?
But there are plenty of hoes around, so.
Hey, that's an old joke. How come they don't have the Miss America pageant in Idaho anymore?
Why?
Well, no one wants to be Idaho. Say what? Sorry, guys. Bad jokes might happen here.
No, I do shorts on all the social media where I'll go find dad jokes and I'll post dad jokes once or twice a day just for prosperity, because how everything is anymore with the world, how there's so much negativity, throwing out some positivity in there, and just something that's so stupid. Some of those dad jokes. Like I had one where it was, what's red and bad for your teeth?
What?
A brick.
Oh, wow.
That's probably one of the darkest ones, but it's like, well, it is red and it is a brick and it is bad for your teeth. So, let's go with the next question of how long have you been doing professional music stuff? Because I know some of the videos on your YouTube are like 15 and 16 years old.
Oh, man. Well, what constitutes professionalism? Is that the thin line of actually earning some money in what you do? Otherwise, you're an amateur or a professional amateur. Yeah, well, I've been playing music for a real long time. I'm old, dude. I'm like 117 years old, believe it or not. I look pretty damn good. Hey, I blame that all on the tequila, baby. I pickled myself at a very young age, kind of, formaldehyde. No, but kids, don't take that as a cue to drink. I was only kidding. Drugs are bad, okay?
I know that one.
Yeah, baby.
I wasn't Garrison, it was the counselor from South Park.
Yeah, the teacher, Mr. Mackey. Okay. Anyways, I've been playing music a real long time. I started playing my guitar when I was 14. But professionally, I probably earned a couple dollars when I was 16 when I was in my first high school band with some friends. So there you go. professional at age 16. Yes, there's your bold headline in italicized font.
So obviously you've been playing for a while. How many different projects have you been a part of, and which ones were some of the easiest ones and the fun ones?
Well, they've all been fun. Some more fun than others. Some more serious than others, that's for sure. You know, during high school, me and my pal Jim, rest in peace, he's no longer with us. We put a band together. You know, we palled around for years and years, and we played guitar and sat around at 18, 17, 16 years old. Hit school, drank beer, got into trouble, and by the time we were about 18, after all the millions of hours of sitting around playing our guitars, we had quite a catalog of riffs. So, yeah, probably about by 18, 19 years old, we got serious, found some other guys, and put a band together. You know, this was probably about 1980, 1981. You know, the birth of heavy metal was just, you know, really starting to come alive in those early years.
Yeah.
We still had Judas Priest, we had Scorpions, Iron Maiden was just coming to surface in that area.
That was right around the time like Motley Crue was also kind of.
This is even before them. They were still playing the clubs, not even. It wasn't Motley Crue. Nicky Sixx was still in his band called London. And he was looking for a guitar player. I remember that, man. We were sitting around one day, and there used to be this paper out here called the Recycler. It was like the place where all the musicians would put their free advertisement in the paper. I mean, it was a big paper. You would go to the 7-Eleven on a Thursday morning, and you would wait for it at 6 in the morning. And, you know, you could buy a car or go to a garage sale or whatever in the paper, but that's where all the musicians in L.A. would put their ad in looking for a musician. So one day they had a ad there that we looked at and kind of said, bass player of London has a new project looking for a guitar player. I think we were drunk and we called up and goofed the thing like a crank call or some stupid thing. But look who had the last laugh. They did become Motley Crue and became, you know, one of the biggest bands on planet Earth. But yeah, you know, long story short, we were doing this well before all that stuff hit. You know, in high school, I used to watch Randy Rhoads playing Quiet Riot and George Lynch and one of his early bands. And, you know, everybody was out here. It was a great education for me just to be able to go out on a Friday night and hit the clubs and see these people. I remember seeing Y&T. They were still called Yesterday and Today. It was like the first gig they ever played down here in Hollywood. I was just like 16 years old. And I still have it in my cardboard box in my garage. The drummer from the band, who turned out, I didn't know it at the time, was Leonard Hayes, who had passed away, you know. And he's all, hey, kid, you want an album? He handed me his record. I'm like, okay, thanks. Yesterday and Today. Oh, cool. Yeah, really awesome things happened back then. The club scene in Los Angeles and Hollywood was amazing. You know, they have all those movies about Los Angeles, the metal years and all that. And, you know, I lived through it. Unfortunately, the band that we put together, me and Jim, was called Stone Soldier. We played some mega big gigs. I don't know if you saw my bio, but, you know, we played with some huge, huge international bands. But the problem was all of Los Angeles at that point in time did get signed. Motley Crue, Rat, Great White, Armored Saint. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Oh, yeah.
We were right there. We were poised and ready to hit big, but oh my God, we had to lose our singer. We just couldn't gel with the guy anymore. So it took us 6 months, almost a year, maybe even longer than a year to finally find a better singer to move forward. And in that time, we missed the boat. Everybody got signed and they weren't signing bands anymore. So, yeah, another human interest story.
Yeah, but also it's one of those things when you're literally part of that movement, and you can say you live through it, where a lot of people don't. You know, I was born in '84, so I missed that whole thing. But
Oh,
like,
oh.
you see the stories and you see the movies and you read the books, and it's one of those like, oh, that's so cool. But then to be able to talk to somebody who lived through it and was right there during it is always an interesting. It's like a history lesson for me.
Oh, shit, dude. I got lots of stories.
Yeah, because I covered a band from New York that was in that whole punk scene right at the beginning of the '80s. That whole movement up in New York, the hardcore punk scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Right.
hour of talking to him nonstop, just hearing the stories and everything. It was fascinating for a music nerd like me.
That's cool. So he lived during the CBGB years and all of
Oh
that, the
yeah,
Ramones and Blondie and all
yeah.
those
He was
early
hanging out with the
bands.
Ramones and stuff like that. So like those are the cool stories that you get to be able to capture.
Nice.
Like, so obviously you saw quite a few of the Sunset Strip bands then.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Great memories. There used to be this club called the Starwood. That was the place. That was just off the Sunset Strip. It was on Santa Monica Boulevard at Laurel Canyon, which is also called Crescent Heights. You know how some streets you're still on the same street, but they change names?
Oh
Then
yeah,
you're reading the sign. Wait, what? Where am I? It was Laurel Canyon a minute ago. Crescent Heights. What the hell? But that was the place. You could go there any night of the week. It didn't matter if it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. That place was sold out, and you just couldn't wait for the next band. I saw so many bands. Oh, incredible. Yeah, I saw a lot of the early punk shows, like, X, the Dead Kennedys. Geez, I mean, it was hardcore back then. This is like 1978.
yeah.
16 years old for me. A friend would come by. I would climb out the window and go out to Hollywood, where everyone thought, in the house I was sleeping. No, I was. I ran outside and went to Hollywood. Got into trouble. Yeah, I saw some bands, man, and it was pretty insane back then. I mean, the punk movement back then was violent. Oh, I was scared out of my brain sometimes. Like the band called X, they have that song Los Angeles and all of that. They used to bring this crew, the Orange County punks, the skinhead Nazis, and those dudes. Oh, they were frightening, man. They were like, a majority of them were like 6'4", 280 pounds.
Oh jeez.
And they would start the thrash pit and just beat the holy shit out of people. They would just be standing there. Next thing you know, bam! They'd be on the ground. Some dude just clocked them from behind. You're like, what the? I was like frightened. Like, what am I doing in here, man?
I need a not so violent scene.
It was crazy.
Time where it's like, okay, went to bed, no black eye, woke up, walk out to the kitchen. Mom sees you. You care to explain the Shiner? No.
No.
So let's see. Obviously, living through the '80s and everything. New music that you got coming out. Do you have any
New music.
new stuff you're getting ready to drop and hit?
Yes, sir. Well, I am still releasing bit by bit singles from my current EP, which is called They Only Love You When You're Winning. I started releasing singles early last year, and I hooked up with Curtian Call Records, which is the conduit to why I am talking to you today. Big shout out to Curtian Call, Brian, John, Gigi, Jacqueline, hey, all the good folks over there. Yeah, upon recommendation, I was looking for a way to get my music heard on a bigger level other than me trying to do what I can by myself. It's pretty tough out there for an independent musician these days.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we have all of the things at our disposal, but the problem is 5 billion other guys are doing the same thing. Anybody with a cheap computer and a microphone can now make music. It only costs about 10, 20 bucks to go on DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, or whatever, and have your music uploaded to iTunes and Spotify. So now, what is the ratio? I mean, I think the number raises every month, but it must be probably 70, 80,000 songs per day. Go up to Spotify, YouTube. So what are you dealing with? I mean, just as a general random number, about 500,000 songs per week get piled on top of each other.
Yeah, so, something about like that.
So let's just rationalize by the end of the month you're dealing with 1.5, hey, maybe even 2 million freaking songs are now there. How the hell are you going to get heard above all that crap? It's ridiculous. Even the major labels, what's left of them, they have to spend probably about, I mean, I don't know, I'm just making hypotheticals, but their budget is probably just beyond measure what they have to spend these days to get their artists heard above the floor of independence, just to get their catalog above and seen. I can't even imagine a business model like that. I mean, what's left of it is almost a skeleton,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of the major record labels that are still out there. They're more independent record labels now.
Yeah, the majors are left with only a recipe for success. They can't take chances on anybody.
Yeah.
Whatever artist sold last month, they have to duplicate that formula with a different haircut and a different costume. They got to just keep repackaging what works. So, they had Justin Bieber, skinny little tie, find the new kid. You get a blonde bombshell, hot-looking girl every new 4 months. Put her in some leather, less clothing, give her a couple new dance steps, get her out there. Shelf life, 6 months, new, next.
Yeah, unless they're like one of those major ones that happen to hit just right, they can do 4 or 5 albums, and then after that, they're done.
Yeah, I mean, well, God bless them. I mean, you look at people like Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift. I mean, they're bigger than life. That doesn't happen very often in this world, But the record companies take a look at that and say, how do we recreate that in some form and fashion to pay our bills? It's a business. It's not just fun and games. So, for us as musicians and people, it sort of seems like fun and games until you get involved with the business side. Then that's where the shining luster starts to wear off rather quickly and the headaches begin.
Yeah, the thing that people don't understand is it's not the portrayal of the 80s was like, you go do a few shows, you get the record deal, you make millions, you have beautiful women around you all the time, drugs and alcohol flow, and now it's not even remotely like that. Because you'll see people where it's like, okay, you're at a show, okay, you're backstage, and it's the band members, and that's it.
Yep, and depending on how long the band has been together, they all look pretty bored.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's a new band and it's one of their first gigs, that level of excitement is there, and that's awesome to witness because that's what it's supposed to be about. Having fun. And, I miss that thrill. I'm looking to get back on the stage and get back out there. And this next year, I'm hoping to really get out there and start to hit the stage again. I'm booked for the NAMM show through Curtian Call with an event staged around the NAMM show in the last couple weeks of January. I'm supposed to be performing at a Rock Rage radio event on January 22nd at the bar called Stages, which is probably just about 10, 15 minutes away from the Anaheim Convention Center, Disneyland. So it's not right there, ground zero at the event, like a lot of the big after parties are, but it's still close enough to where you can get there and party. So if you ever hear this and you were before the NAMM show, come on by. I'll say hello. Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
Oh, but back to your question. I'm going to circle back about new music. I've been putting out songs for my EP, They Only Love You When You're Winning. Cheap plug. It is on Bandcamp. You can buy it, folks. Bandcamp.com. Does anybody even buy music anymore? Geesh, I don't know.
I mean, people. I've got literally sitting next to me. I actually have some albums.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. It's a rarity. I mean, especially now, streaming has killed the concept of anybody even selling their music.
Well,
going back to that thing. It's kind of.
I like to sit there and be like, hey, can you sign this? And I hand you an album, and then I have like the signed copy of the album versus, hey, can you sign my digital download?
Yeah, how does that happen? Sign my MP3, will you? Huh? What? Did you print it out? Yeah, that's kind of a big issue that a lot of us face. I mean, if anybody 15 years ago, 20 years ago, still had a physical CD in their hands, yeah. But, I mean, over the past 5 years, per se, you can't even go into Best Buy or whatever and buy a computer or a laptop that even has a CD tray anymore. That's all been disappeared. You can, what... I went to the NAMM show last year, just in case anybody doesn't know. The NAMM show is the music industry trade show. Just like the electronics, every trade has their big trade show of the year. The NAMM show is for guitars, amplifiers, turntables, microphones, everything that would be for sale for a musician is there. All the the big vendors. So I went there and I thought for fun I would print up 100 CDs. I went online to Amazon. I bought 100 blank CDs. I burned them on my old burner. I still have some old equipment. Old OLD. Maybe half the people listening are probably even saying, "What's a CD?" It's called a compact disc, folks. Music used to be burned on them, and it was a little round disc that you would put into your computer or your car. It's almost like a dinosaur, What?
Oh, yeah. My kids they don't know who half this stuff is. And they're like, have you heard of this? Yes.
I know, it's insane, man. We're talking about something that's been it's been disappeared over the last 5 years. So I printed up 100 of them. I couldn't even pay people to take one. I would say, hey, want a CD? I'll be giving them to strangers. They're like, no. What's that? I don't even have a CD player, dude. What? Oh, man. It really hit me hard at that point. Like, these things are useless. I mean, how does a band, unless you're really on tour or you got a really big fan base with people willing to buy your product and support you, CDs are about as useless as something that's called an 8-track or a cassette tape, kids.
Well, the weird thing is the cassette tapes are actually making a comeback. I'm seeing a lot of bands bringing cassette tapes back, and they're selling merch, and I'm like, no. I'm going to stick with the CD player or the vinyl. That's where I'm going with it.
Well, it's good to hear that cassette tapes are making a resurgence. They hold a special place in my life. That was part of my life when I was a kid. We would all in the neighborhood put our nickels and dimes together and quarters to buy an album. And I mean, even an album which was $4 or $5 back then, let's say in 1977, let's dial back 50 years ago. That was $4 or $5 was still a lot of money for a kid. That probably equals about $20 or $25 in today's economy. That's probably what an album costs now, give or take.
Depending on CDs, yeah. Vinyls are a little more expensive depending on which vinyl you find.
Yeah, so the thing was, we would have to all pool our resources to buy a Led Zeppelin or a Boston or a Kansas or something, an album. So then the beauty of it was we could have that cassette tape and all make copies and go home and listen to it. So yeah, that was cool. And the album would stay in great condition and we would just make copies whenever we needed it. And that was the cool thing about the cassette tape anyhow.
Oh yeah, you could record. Yeah, I remember doing that where like you'd wait for the song to come on the radio and you hit record on the blank tape and hope that you got it.
Yeah, and that's how bands used to trade. There used to be a big underground network of cassette trading. Like the early albums, I go back and listen to interviews of Lars from Metallica. That's how Metallica got huge overseas. What they call now the new wave of British heavy metal from the early 80s, the late 70s. That's how that whole thing got started. The magazines and the trade papers had a list, like pen pals. They showed a list of, I got Venom, I got early Slayer, I got early Megadeth, I got rare Judas Priest tapes, willing to trade, blah, blah, blah. I got Led Zeppelin, I got Grateful Dead. Some people would just trade. And that was just such a cool thing back then. I mean, that now would equate to maybe just someone doing a post on Instagram and saying, hey, I got, this and this and this, anybody want to swap rare MP3s? I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because I remember getting, like, I used to go to a record store where I used to live, and they'd have this, like, little free box that'd have, like, the demo, or not the demos, but, like, the sample CDs where, you get the one track from this band and have 20 different tracks, but they're all 20 different bands, so you pick those up every week or every month when they put them out.
Yeah.
Then I'd go buy, like, 15 albums.
The old CD samplers. Hey, if there's anyone probably less than 30 years old listening to this, you are getting a education in music history.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
My kids are all MP3s or, hey, we downloaded this new Pandora thing, and I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking about earlier when I was just talking about how hard it is for an artist to A, get their music heard, and B, to see if anybody is even willing to purchase it. That's almost a near impossibility. Excuse me. Yeah, the problem is, oh man, I gotta go get some water. But the problem, can I go on? I gotta get some water, man. I'm dying.
Yeah,
Can I take a fast break? Hey, and we are back. It is Dan Sindel from Los Angeles, California on Red Beard the Hippy Show. Yeah, baby. There's your station ID, man. Hey, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Now for the weather. Here in Los Angeles, it's a nice and sunny day in the early 70s. We're going to have a cold winter evening, but enjoy the sunshine, folks. Yeah, it's really dry out here, so I'm fighting a dry cough.
No, I know. Literally before.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Armed and ready. I feel sorry for the people back east. Ooh, you guys are in some cold weather. You get really...
We got some nasty cold stuff. What was it? It was like Thursday. I went to work and it was 40 degrees. I went to break at 9 o'clock and it dropped down to like 20, and I forgot my winter coat at home because I was like, I just need a hoodie. I'll be all right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not my best idea.
Cheers. A toast to y'all out there in rock and roll land. It's good to be here. Yes, it is.
So speaking of the NAMM show, how many of those have you been part of? Because I saw one from like 2015, I think, with some footage that you had up.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. You saw some of that, huh? Yeah, I've been going there at least 15, maybe 20 years. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. The show actually itself is, well, let's just say it's not what it used to be. Uh, Even before COVID, pre-COVID, if you will. Remember that, guys? Remember the big lockdown?
Oh yeah.
Nobody could go anywhere. Wear your mask. Don't breathe the air. You'll die. Yeah. Even before COVID struck, that show actually started to lose a lot of its energy in a way. A lot of the major vendors were pulling camp because it just cost too much money to be there. Yeah, they would be spending over $1 million to have real estate there, a big trade show display. It's expensive. So a lot of the big companies were not showing on the floor, but they kind of cheated and were there and got a penthouse suite at the big hotel next door and conducted their business meetings over there and, kind of doing it that way and, kind of skunking the event.
Yeah. Because I've seen some of the people that show up to that thing. That's from a music guy. It's impressive seeing the different artists that are showing up to that thing still.
Yeah, it's fun. You get everybody that you could even imagine as an artist being there, unless they're on tour somewhere. Every time you turn the corner, there's another brand name famous musician just sitting in a booth playing a guitar or a bass or a keyboard. You never know what you're gonna get. It's awesome.
Okay,
It's
craziest person you've seen there that like blew your mind when you saw them at the NAMM show.
Oh wow, that's hard to say. Really, I'm not that type of person that ever gets starstruck. If I meet somebody, even if they're a little larger than life, part of me doesn't just go, oh my God, it's Slash. I don't give a shit. We're just people. But I think the only time, this is kind of funny, the only time I ever lost my nerve, which is kind of ridiculous in a way, because I don't know. I mean, we're just people. But about, let's just say 2008, I was passing around CDs, CD samplers, when I put out some of my symphonic guitar instrumental music. I pressed up 1,000 CDs and I was performing at the show and I was just passing them out to everybody. I even put one in the hands of Ronnie James Dio. It was funny. Here's a funny story, because, I'm not tall. I'm 5'8". I'm not, big. I'm 140 some odd pounds. I'm skinny. I'm not tall. Ronnie's shorter than me. God bless him. And it was just one of those moments. I just still laugh. This is a good story. He was going to go sign at one of the booths. I think it was Dean Markley Strings. He had his guitar players and bass players use that company. So, there's like a couple hundred people waiting in line for him to sign autographs and stuff. And I was passing out my CDs, everybody in the line, hey, want one? Here. So as I was done, I had some locomotion, I had some traction, I had some kinetic energy behind me. I was moving pretty quick. So as I turned the corner, passing out CDs, I made it to the main walkway. I'm trucking pretty fast at a pretty good clip. And, all of a sudden, like two cars, like two trains heading each other. Here comes Ronnie Dio. Oops, sorry, I hit my mic. And, he was, coming closer to me, and he didn't really see me coming, and I was moving quick. And he looked up, and I was about to collide into him. I was about to just knock him over. I'm like, oh, shit. He's a lot smaller than me. I didn't want to hurt him, especially as fast as I was going. So, The Matrix, the first one where they shoot the bullet, and it goes super slow motion. He's like, ah. He falls backwards as time stood still. It sounds like a car crash if you've ever been in an accident. Time just crawls to a slow, it's like stops. And you're like, reconciling with, God and getting your affairs straight in your head. All these thoughts are happening. But, long story short, It was like that, like the Matrix. Time stood still, and I kind of went backwards, like, just so I didn't hit Ronnie. He's looking up at me like, whoa! I'm like, oh shit, sorry, dude. And the funniest thing was, I still had CDs in my hand. I'm like, here, dude, take one. He's like, what? I put a CD in his hand as I almost knocked him over. He's like, what the fuck? And I kept walking. I laughed. Oh, my God, I almost knocked him over. But I put a CD in his hand. Cool. I'm sure he...
Those are the cool stories that, like, you just had to be there.
That's funny. I'm sure he took the CD and threw it away, but, you know, whatever. It was still a funny story.
Well, I mean,
The look in...
sit there and say they handed Ronnie James Dio a CD.
But the look in his eye, he was just like, whoa! You know, just priceless. Yeah, there's really nobody there other than maybe the one or two people, his entourage that were walking with him, who may or may not ever remember that story, but it happened. It happened, kids. That was my only time I ever got to physically be in, you know, his presence other than, you know, seeing him perform at a gig, but that was awesome.
Oh, I bet.
You can see him still laughing. That was funny.
Wow. Ronnie James Dio. Okay, that's pretty high up on the icon list there.
Yeah,
like everybody has those like icon lists. You know, oh, I wish I could meet this person or that one. That's a cool story to have with him.
My brush with, well, whatever.
With Dio.
Yes.
Let's see what else can we go.
That was a close call, man. Oh, but going back to your original question, which I never really got to answer, a self-serving, shameless plug. I will be putting out a new release after the New Year's, probably the second week of January. I still have 2 singles left for my EP to release. I should be putting out a song called Burning Bridges. Yes, indeed. We've all burned our bridges, have we not? At one point or the other?
Yeah.
Or have we had someone in our lives burn that bridge for us? Thank you very much. Yes, that has happened too. Another human interest stories. I write songs based on personal relationships, human interest stories. I do not write songs about Dungeons and Dragons and mythical creatures coming from a mythical dark forest. No, thank you. That's already been done.
Well, and it's easier to write stuff that's more personal too, where you can draw from your own experiences to build up a song.
Yeah, well, hell, if I grew up as a kid playing Dungeons and Dragons, that probably would have been where my brain is at, but never did.
I've been through all my different nerd stuff and music and comic books and sports, all the different stuff.
Well, it's kind of interesting how artists choose their subject matter per se. Most of the time it's personal relationships, you know, experiences. Sometimes it's fantasy land stuff, you know. Other times it's just pure raunchy sex.
Yeah, there's a few of those bands that I've seen that put that stuff out there quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Parents, don't let your kids see this.
Yeah, but the kids have probably already watched it before we had an opportunity to find out what it was. But I've also seen there's also with some of those artists, there's a downfall of songwriting skills, in my opinion, on it. Because they're putting out just some of the raunchiest stuff. There doesn't seem like there's any in-depth trial to how am I going to write this song? How am I going to put it together?
You know, it is what it is. A lot of times, guys just want to see how far they can push their luck in a way. How far can you go? How many people can you upset? which is part of the fun, you know. Hey, especially growing up, when you're a little bit younger, you look for ways to piss people off. You want to piss off the establishment. You want to piss off your parents.
I'm still
You
40
know?
and I still manage on doing those stuff.
That's just good old-fashioned rebellion, man. You still have to have some of that fire in you. That's what rock and roll is all about.
Rock and roll and punk, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, you know, even highly polished, highly produced pop music can be that, just in a shining wrapper. You know, when you got the beautiful women riding on the floor, scantily clad, talking about dirty sex. Hey now, hey now.
Let's see what else we got. So, shows in 2026. You already got one that you've plugged a couple times that you're pretty excited for. Any other ones that you have coming up, or just the one right now?
No, I just have the NAMM show ahead of me, and once that happens, then I'm sure hoping the trio that I'm working in and getting ready for this gig will go out and start doing a lot more shows. Absolutely. I want to play some big, big shows in the next year.
When was the last time you were... It kind of sounds like it's been a little while since you've been on stage. When was the last time you were performing on stage?
Well, I mean, I really hate to talk about it, but it is part of life. And, you know, that's part of the issue. In 2012, I got hit with cancer, almost stage 4. It took me down. It almost killed me, man. We addressed the issue just before it got super, super bad. And that took me off the grid for a very long time. It was tongue cancer. You know, it's a miracle I can talk. It's a miracle I can, you know, play. My hand was inoperative for about 3-4 years. I couldn't speak for about 2-3 years. I was basically a vegetable because of the operation. And yeah, it's a miracle that I'm even alive and playing music and now singing and doing all of that. So it took me almost 10 years to really regain my energy, my, you know, just everything. And, you know, you can still tell I'm not really wanting to talk about it. It was very traumatic to anybody at the moment who's going through it or have family members. My heart is with you. I've been through it. Yes, I can sympathize, but I can clearly empathize. So God bless you if you're going through it. It's a cruel, cruel thing. I'm still here for whatever reason. And I vowed if I could ever get to the place where I had enough energy and physical mobility to go out and play music again, I want to do this on as high a level as I possibly can. See, before I got sick, I was rolling pretty good. I was playing in a friend's band. I was in a band called MX Machine, which was a big kind of a punk metal band back when I had my band, Stone Soldier, when we were playing with all the top bands like King Diamond and Wendy Williams and Armored Saint and everybody. MX Machine was in town.
You said like 3 names right there where I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, you know, the scene was big. Every weekend there was another show that you could be part of if, you know, you wanted to. And, you know, in the same area as Armored Saint was MX Machine. You know, all these guys grew up in the Alhambra, South Pasadena type of area. And, you know, Diego asked me if I wanted to be in MX Machine because, you know, we all used to gig back then with, you know, Armored Saint. They were the kingpins, and they still are. Hey, you know, it's so awesome. Armored Saint is now part of the Rock and Roll Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. So badass. You know, so we all kind of grew up together partying. And so I was in MX for a while, and I got to play some of my last shows where we opened up for Saxon, and we opened up for Accept, We also did a really killer show at the House of Blues on Sunset in Hollywood, which no longer is there, with a band called Agent Steel. They used to tour. They were pretty big a long time ago. But, playing with Saxon and playing with Accept was a huge honor. And just after that is when it really started to manifest in my mouth, the tumor. And it got so bad, oh my God, it was just bad. So, there you go. I had to go to the hospital and then just stayed home for years on the couch. And, that's what I was saying. I vowed if I could ever come back to music, that is what I want to do, kind of my make-a-wish list. So when I was finally able to do something about it, which was about 4 years ago, just before COVID struck, I started going through my songs on my hard drive and started re-recording my demo work and bringing everything up to professional level. I hired some drummers to replace the computer software loops, and I started putting out my albums. My first album was called Unpopular Music for Popular People, Volume 1. And, I put that out about 3 years ago, and part of that same recording session, I was able to get 11 songs done with different drummers. Then, because of time and money and what have you, about a year, 2 years were involved of the other songs still sitting there. But then I was able to finally get the rest of those songs mixed and mastered. Then I put out They Only Love You When You're Winning. I had my good friend Danny Saber do the mixing engineering for me. I went to high school with Danny, and when I caught up with him about 4 years later after high school, I just thought, oh, bro, that is so awesome. After high school, he went and started working in the major studios at the record plant, Village Recorder. He got to work on sessions with people like David Bowie, U2, Madonna, Korn, Marilyn Manson, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, the Rolling Stones. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
That's an impressive list.
And I was a little intimidated to even ask him, like, wow, he's just going to flat out deny me and say, hell no, dude, I'm busy. But I asked him, would you be interested in listening to some of my songs? I'm just like, ugh. And he said, yeah, bro, come on, give me a break. We're friends. I'll tell you if I like it or not. So I sent him my songs, and he said, wow, these songs are good. Let's do it. I thought, what, really? Oh, okay. Thanks. So, yeah, Danny helped me, and, I got my new album, and I'm digging it. I'm just releasing one song per every 2-3 months with Curtian Call. And so, yeah, after January, we're going to put out one more, and there's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's a pretty like your friend having a pretty impressive lineup going, yeah, man, I really like these, and you're going, okay, you've recorded and done studio sessions with all these other groups. That's got to be a huge confidence boost right there where you go, he said he liked them.
Yeah, and that's what instilled my intimidation, if you will, at the same time. Like, you've been in the room with Ozzy, you've been in the room with David Bowie, you've been on a album where Mick Jagger asked if you would play the bass because the bass player was out to lunch. Can you do this for me, Mike? Can you play the beating song? And here I am going, yeah, but
please take something okay.
I was prepared for him to go, yeah, well, dude, let me just say I like you as a friend, but yeah. But he said, yeah, like, hell yeah, woohoo. Yeah, I was jumping up and down like a little kid, trust me.
Oh, I can only imagine. We all have those moments where something like that happens, and it's a disbelief.
Yeah, exactly. Not that I don't believe in myself or have, lack of self-confidence, but sometimes, you know, you just kind of wonder, is it going to be good enough? Those little voices in your head.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I think every artist has that where it's that self awareness, self doubt.
self doubt, yes, lack of confidence, butterflies.
Like I can go out and perform the song 1,000 times live with no issue, but like you want me to go record it and put it in front of people now? You mean I gotta actually do this right?
Mm.
It's a little high to expect of me right there.
Yeah, I think every artist has a threshold of confidence, and there's a gray area of, okay, this is where my confidence runs out. Now I'm scared shitless.
And that's usually on stuff that you're trying different than what you normally have been putting out, where you're putting out like a new sound or a new style, and people are known for you to play, rock and roll, and you put out the symphonic metal album, and you're like, okay, are people gonna like this? Are people gonna dislike it? I think it's more like the self-conscious and the self-doubt is when you're trying something new.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, sure. we could we could dissect that topic for a couple hours just right there on another show on another day. But hey, we're right here at the Red Beard the Hippy program. Yes, sir, coming to you worldwide.
The other day I just interviewed a band from Australia, so starting to become a little more worldly known.
Oh, really cool.
So, have you done most of your shows in the LA area, or have you actually been able to go out on like a tour type thing?
I've never really been on tour, which is a huge empty hole in my spirit, if you will. I had to pause on that and think about the right word to say. Yeah, unfortunately, all the bands I was with never put it together to the level of getting out there. And, even Stone Soldier, man, we were primed to hit the road and conquer the world. We could have been right up there with Anthrax and Metallica and Slayer, the Big Four, that whole thing. We should have been, but we weren't. Never got the right management, never got the right record deal. Everything just always seemed to not congeal, if you will. So, I'm at the place now. This is my last chance where I have enough energy to physically go out and do it. So I'm hoping that this year I'm able to get out there and start playing to large audiences. I think my new album, plural albums, are good enough. I think they're freaking great. I think you should hear them and make up your own mind. But yeah, my music is out there for anybody interested in listening to something maybe just a little different. The thing is, I just didn't want to recycle everything that I've heard for the past 50, 60 years in the same type of thing. I mean, we all cannot, as an artist, escape our roots, which is a cliche at best. But, we grow up with certain sounds in our head, and typically that's what comes out of us. I mean, it's very few artists can create a different sound that has never really been heard before. Everything's been done. That's almost biblical. Everything under the sun has been done. But, for me, my great love is 60s, 70s, pop, hard rock, psychedelic music. And then, then the 70s came, things got heavier. I started getting into the heavier Aerosmith and, Ted Nugent on guitar, Frank Marino, Judas Priest was turning up the dial. Then the 80s showed up. Then we started getting early thrash. We got the early Megadeth. We got the early Slayer, Venom. Things started getting really fast. We got the DRI and, Flotsam and Jetsam, and everybody just started, then all the guitar virtuoso stuff, all your Yngwie and your Chris Impelliteris and your Frank Gumballis and all your arpeggio masters and Cacophony with Marty Friedman and Jason Becker. The guitar, there's so much music that gets poured into your head. But for me, I'm still trying to find my voice within all of that. You play a couple notes and you sit there and you listen back and go, oh man, that just sounds like Santana shit. You really got to fight for your own voice out there. So I'm trying to do my best with everything I've ever heard in my life and still keep it in that hard rock with a little metal, trying to keep it current, but with my own type of a thing going on, which I suppose is just my wacky personality.
No, I think that's about everybody when they try to come up with a music sound or a music identity. Because you want it to be your influences, but you also want it to be you coming out and not the influences so much where somebody's like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so. All right, scrap that idea. Time to try something different.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So, bottom line is if you listen to my music, you'll probably hear 50, 60, 70 years worth of influences crammed into a situation where I'm still trying to find my own voice amongst the myriad of a million other voices screaming in my head.
No, I 100% understand that. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of stuff to come up with, or try to come up with a couple more questions. I think we covered most everything. We covered new music, got history lessons of the 80s rock scenes. For somebody who hasn't gone out on tour, the amount of bands that you have performed with and been around and met is excessive, especially when you threw out like King Diamond, Wendy Williams, read the article with Motley Crue looking for a guitar player, just except Saxton. Just as a music guy, I'm over here just like, holy crap.
Yeah, I've got quite an adventurous life in the music realm. And I'm still here, so there's still a fighting chance to go out and do big things. Every interview I say, I keep projecting it. This year, I don't know how, but I am going to try and get myself on the Hollywood Bowl stage in front of 17,000 frickin' people. That is my dream.
That would be that's a hell of a dream to have right there.
Well, it doesn't stop there. Rock for Rio, 60,000, Madison Square Gardens, Budokan, Tokyo, Domo Arigato. Come on. There's a whole world out there.
Well, and you haven't been on tour, and that's the thing you want to do, so there we go. We'll get you, try to manifest you in all those places for you.
Hello, Cleveland. Yeah. Hello, Nebraska. How you doing tonight? Hey.
Hopefully it's a little warmer if you come up here. It gets cold in the winter.
Well, if I get a smart tour manager, we'll follow the jet stream and, stay in the warmth.
That's the way to do it. Well, we'll go ahead and get ready to end this interview. If you want to do one more plug for your album, and then we'll sign off on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm sure Red Beard here will post all of the necessary links, but all my music is up on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. My YouTube channel. Come say hi to me on Facebook or Instagram, blah, 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 blah. It's all there. It's the internet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate your time and the history lesson. That was really fascinating and cool.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about stuff. You're a very cool bro. I'm really happy to be on your show. I'm grateful. And to everybody out there, happy holidays, happy New Year, and we will see you in 2026.
Sounds good.
Yeah.